Oh, there you are. Hi everybody. Welcome to the Kid Vid NFL preview for week 5. As you can see, I'm really doing my homework. Had a rough time last week, and so it's time for me to really dig down and get to the nuts and bolts of every game. We don't usually do the Thursday games, as you know, but I'm still learning as much as I can about these two teams in this kind of mundane contest between St. Louis and Arizona. A little bit of a surprise so far, too. Again, undefeated team getting beat here to St. Louis, a team that many don't consider to be one of the strongest. Before we get started, this week is a week of learning lessons on the Kid Vid. Two very important lessons, and I'm going to hold them up, and we're going to discuss humility and accountability. Came into the vid last week with all kinds of braggadocio, really confident in myself with my 6-2 record. Well, the first thing you learn about being a braggart is that you can be humbled very quickly, especially when being a prognosticator and a previewer of NFL football games. Came back to earth really hard last week. We'll get to that in a second, because the second lesson I want to learn is on accountability. Being humble and having humility is an asset in everything you do. It always comes back to bite me as soon as I get really cocky and arrogant. Reality strikes hard, and it strikes hard fast and often. But, that being said, we hear and we see all kinds of different people, so-called experts, talking about NFL games, previewing games, making their picks, but they have no accountability. The accountability on this show comes from me putting it out there. Come and beat me, and if you do, you have a chance to win something. And I'm going to show my accountability again this week by humbly, again, that word humility, demonstrating my record from last week, which was a miserable 1-3. The overall record still a profitable 7-5, but that 1-3 is hanging hard like a cloud, just about to burst with all kinds of rain, cold, uncomfortable rain, as I try to bounce back this week. The 1-3 record last week meant that I can't name individually all the people who beat me in the Beat the Kid contest at Jack Astor's, because there are so many of them I'd use a whole video naming them. So we have a lot of people on the draw for the upcoming prize from Bud and Bud Light, our Jack Astor's football sponsors. So if you're one of the lucky ones who submitted last week, I think I only beat one person. So you're all involved in that lotto. As we get on to this week's games, last week I espoused the theory that it's a good idea to take a lot of points, take points oftentimes. And this week, as I again peruse my picks, there is not one game in which I'm taking points. I'm giving away points in all my picks. Consistency, theories, plans, systems, and prognosticating and previewing NFL games just does not work. You have to look at each game individually, each week individually. And that's what I'm going to do here today. First game, Cincinnati's been good for me. They're playing at home and really kind of coming on. I suggested earlier that their defense showed weaknesses, but I thought that they would get it together, and that's starting to happen. I really like Miami, too. They're kind of a plucky bunch. It plays good defense. Should have won again last week, but this time I think Cincinnati at home. Miami, I don't know if they have another one of those games in them. That heartbreak has to be bothering them. They're coming up to Cincinnati to play in Ohio. I like the direction the Bengals are going in, and I'm willing to give up the 3.5 as the Dolphins come to town. Cincinnati, minus 3.5. Another heartbreak team last week, Carolina Panthers, played the Atlanta Falcons, who many are touting as a Super Bowl contender at 4-0 this early. They were really lucky to beat Carolina last week. Seattle is a Jekyll and Hyde home and away team. Really, really good at home. On the road, not so much. A little bit more pedestrian. They're coming across the country to play a Panthers team that's a little reeling and really fired up after that tough loss last week, and they really need a win. Cam Newton showed a little bit more poise and some of that maturity that was seemed premature last year, but he kind of returned to him last week, despite that late game fumble. I'm liking the Panthers at home, Carolina, to down Seattle, trekking across the country. Here comes this week's heartbreaker for the kid. I mentioned and suggested to you one of my first lessons in picking games, never bet with your heart. And I did that first week and paid for it. And this week, my heart is having absolutely no say as the injury-riddled Bills travel again across country, different time zone, to play the 49ers, who just stomped all over the Jets last week. Stomped is the word. All over the Jets last week. They are angry after losing that game to Minnesota 2 weeks ago, and they are not going to let this get away. They're the exact type of team the Bills can't compete with. Physical, fast defense, hard hitting, a powerful, physical running game, an opportunistic passing game, home crowd. The Bills are overmatched in this game. Believe me, they are a better team than they were last year, overmatched this week with the banged-up offensive line, running back still not fully healthy. This one could be ugly early. San Francisco giving up 10 to the Bills. The final pick this week uses a theory that I like. Teams coming off a bye week with the extra rest, extra time for preparation, injuries have a chance to heal, and Pittsburgh fits the bill perfectly. Their two most outstanding defensive players, Polamalu and Harrison, back to reform their defense that was a little bit lacking in the first 3 weeks without them. They had that bye week. They are 1-2. They cannot slip to 1-3 if they have any hopes of catching Baltimore or competing with Baltimore and Cincinnati in the division. Philadelphia's won some games they probably shouldn't have. Big win last week at home against the Giants. I think maybe a little bit of a letdown at 3-1. Steelers really rise to the occasion this week. -3. Pittsburgh -3 at home to Philadelphia. To close out, this is one of my most favorite times of the year. The autumn Thanksgiving weekend is coming up. Good time to spend and share with your family. I'll be in the bar on Sunday. Hopefully you can maybe get some time to come down and watch one game or two. I know you all have responsibilities and the occurrences of spending time with your family over that big fat burdensome pumpkin pie. Hoping your teams that you pick don't turn into pumpkins on Sunday. Also, I know all you guys, kind of the week to end up having to go to the Balls Falls craft show with your girl or your wife. I know you might get dragged into that. It's the 1 week out of 17. I know I succumbed to that many times in the past. But it's actually a really good time. Good food, good bands, kind of a good time. You make the most out of it and have fun with it. And also, baseball playoffs start tomorrow. And for my buddy Robbie, shout out to the Moneyball Oakland A's for overcoming everybody with their big payrolls and getting in there with a rookie-laden team and teams that sort of fit the bill of what they're looking for. Really would like to see the A's do it, knock off the big money, big spending teams. The pure and natural drama of baseball playoffs is upon us. My favorite time of year. Good luck with your picks. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope to see you all Sunday, maybe Monday night. If not, don't forget, it's every week. Jackassers, we have a hell of a time watching the games. See you next week.